Hey there. I wanted to talk to you about behavioral health advising and clear that up for you a little bit because it's something I made up, to be completely honest with you. I used to work with kids with autism using applied behavior analysis. And that's how I got into behavior work. I was always fascinated by psychology. My undergrad is in psychology, was always a passion of mine from truly as long as I remember. I thought I was going to be a psychologist. And then through working with kids with various developmental disabilities, I got taken down the route of behavior, specifically applied behavior analysis. And then I became a certified integrative health coach through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. In combining those two, I didn't really know what to call it or what that looked like. So I made it up and I coined the phrase behavioral health advising. I call myself a behavioral health advisor. I don't like the word coach because I'm not here to have you run laps or be punished in any way. I'm here as a partner, truly a friend, someone who's going to hold your hand through this journey that you're about to embark on. So welcome. I want to give you a bit more foundational learning tools to help you get, the bigger picture for the rest of the 5 weeks. So what is behavioral health advising? I like to think of it as turning your overwhelm into alignment. That's my passion. So I work with high achievers using behavior change and integrative health to create sustainable habits. It's a blend of ABA, applied behavior analysis, like I said, and integrative health. And we'll cover both of those two deeper. But the point here is to have holistic existence and sustain success. Holistic existence, meaning all parts of the behavioral or all parts of the health puzzle are balanced, and sustaining success, meaning that the goals and the habits that you create are being maintained well beyond our time together. So ABA. Really what ABA is and why I knew there was more to it after working with kids with autism, I knew this could be applied to so many things, habits and health in particular, because the focus of ABA is really how behavior works, how our environment affects behavior, our behaviors, others' behaviors, and how we learn behaviors. You may be familiar with the name Skinner and Pavlov. Skinner founded operant conditioning, meaning that reinforcement and punishment occur after behavior and either make that behavior increase with reinforcement or decrease with punishment. And then Pavlov founded classical conditioning, and this is that stimulus response pairing. We learn about Pavlov's dogs, right? The bell, the drool. So there's a conditioned response here, involuntary, not voluntary. We're going to focus on the Skinner operant conditioning model, and you can probably already start to get the wheels turning about how this can apply to habits. But I want to give you that brief overview before we talk about integrative health. Integrative health, I think of it as the state of well-being in mind, body, and spirit. So instead of going to a doctor who's diagnosing something specifically in your body, instead of going to a therapist who focuses on your mind only, integrative health focuses on mind, body, and spirit and how they're all intertwined. So that means your career, food, mindfulness, movement, sleep, relationships are all under this health puzzle. I like to think of it as a puzzle. Here, it's kind of a flower, but I like to think of it as pieces of the puzzle, and they all need to fit together, right, in order to create that holistic existence, that balance. So, ABA and integrative health. The point is to get to the root of behavior, to rise into your highest self. It's the same tools that I used myself when I was feeling really low, like I did not trust my body at all. I was binge eating. I gained a bunch of weight. I was working out as punishment. And I really got myself out of all that by strengthening my intuitive muscle and using what I knew about behavior. So the applications here are incredible, from meditation, overeating, goal setting, stress, sports achievement. There's a ton of research using ABA and sports achievement. Skill generalization, meaning that the skills that you learn here when you're at home are also going to work when you are on vacation, to put it simply. Morning routines, evening routines, learning new skills, like literally learning how to do something new. Exercise consistency. There are a ton of applications in bridging these two. So I want to take you through the 5-step path to holistic existence and sustained success. Lucky for you, this course Rooted, it takes you through all of this. The shadow work, the foundational work, getting clarity, learning new skills, integrating those skills and getting feedback, making sure that these new skills and these new goals and these new habits are being sustained by focusing on your future self, and then ongoing support. You ready? Shadow and foundation. So I speak about this in the shadow chapter, but until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. You'll call it fate. This same exact slide is going to be in the shadow portion of this course. So I'm going to breeze through it quickly. We need to turn our covert behaviors into overt behaviors. That is happening naturally. Our thought patterns are turning into behaviors, but we want to have more control over that. We want to get ahead of our thought patterns so that they're affecting our behaviors positively in the way that we want them to. We do that by confronting our inner dialogue and by going through that emotional work, not around it, not band-aiding it. And that comes from asking how we're playing small and how we're standing in our own way. Second, skill acquisition. Oh, I have to sneeze. Okay, so there's two parts. There's behavior change and intuitive muscle pieces that I spoke about earlier. Science, the woo-woo, if you will. So the ABCs of behavior change. It starts with the antecedent. The antecedent is what happens directly before the behavior. Then we have the behavior. Then we have the consequence, what happens directly after the behavior. Remember we talked about punishment or reinforcing with Skinner. If what happens directly after the behavior we're trying to change is punishment, it will decrease. And if what happens directly after the behavior is reinforcement, the behavior will increase. This is important to know because there are behaviors in our lives that we want to do more of, and there are some that we want to do less of. So keep this in mind. And then when it comes to intuition and strengthening that intuitive muscle, that's how I like to think about it. When we're kids, our intuitive muscle is super, super strong. We know what we want. We know what we don't want. But as we get older, societal norms, our peers, our colleagues, our family members, our friends are influencing us. Not to mention all the insane media that we are constantly consuming. Instagram, podcasts, news. There's a lot of noise. It can be so overwhelming. So we need to stop shoulding. I should try this because it worked for so-and-so. I should have a 2-hour meditation practice in the morning. We need to reduce the noise so we can get back into ourselves. Really starts by knowing that everybody is different. Everybody is different. What works for one person might not work for you. And we also have to identify what feels aligned, what feels really good for us. So, the ABCs of behavior change. The most important takeaway of this is to find the function of your behavior. So start with the behavior you want to change. That's called the target behavior. The behavior you want to change is the one that you probably want to decrease. What is happening right before that behavior? The stimulus, you can call it. This is your function. This is your why. The function of the behavior is the reason that it's happening. I'll give you a clear example. And then, like I said, what's happening immediately after is the reinforcing or is it punishing? By getting to the function of the behavior, the why, we cannot band-aid. When we don't know the function, which is very common because we are not taught these rules of behavior change, then we band-aid and we wonder why our habits don't stick. So here's an example. Using both the function of the behavior and your intuitive muscle. This comes from overeating, which is something that I've struggled with in the past. I used to eat dinner and then it would be like 10 o'clock at night and I'd be like, I'm still hungry. I want more. I want ice cream. But I shouldn't have ice cream. Ice cream's bad. If I eat ice cream, I'll have to do X amount more miles in the morning. Go to the gym this much longer. So I'll have some yogurt, some berries, and just a couple chocolate chips. little bit of peanut butter, healthy fats. And I ended up having like 3 bowls of this mix of so-called healthy foods just to avoid the ice cream. When I could have just probably had 1 bowl of ice cream and been fine and moved on. So if you find yourself, if this resonates with you and you find yourself like 3 bowls deep in the ice cream or in the weird concoction, whenever you see yourself and you acknowledge that this is happening, I want you to take a breath and ask yourself, do I really want this? If the answer is no, then find a replacement behavior. This is another activity besides eating that's equally reinforcing, and this goes for anything. If you are engaging in your target behavior, that could be scrolling Instagram. Maybe you want to reduce your screen time. Then you need to find a behavior that's equally reinforcing. For example, if you are on your phone and you've been scrolling Instagram for the past hour and a half, you're like, oh, I really shouldn't be scrolling anymore. I'm going to read a new book. Reading a new book, cracking open a new book that you really don't care much about is probably not going to be equally reinforcing as scrolling your Instagram. So I would recommend having a list of replacement behaviors. You could do this right now. Behaviors things you love to do. Painting, watching something on YouTube or on Netflix, calling a friend, reading the book that you're deep in and really love and enjoy. Cooking, baking something, drawing, doing a puzzle, writing. Make a list. I would advise to keep it in your phone. That way you have it on you. It could be really helpful. So what about the flip side? What if you are asking yourself, do I really want this? Do I really want to do this? And you say yes. I want you to take it one step further and ask yourself why. Why is getting to the function, and it's getting to the emotional ties as well, and it's getting you to the root. We are going to be asking ourselves why through this entire process. So why? Is it because you're bored? Great, that is amazing insight. Go back to your replacement behavior list. Because you can't have enough of what you don't need. So if you are bored, eating another bowl of ice cream is not going to help you. It's just something to do. It's just a Band-Aid. If you ask yourself why and you say, because I want the taste, it's fair. I bet you the prior 2 bowls, you weren't actually tasting it. Maybe you were eating it in front of the movie that you're watching, or maybe you were just gobbling it down. It happens. So if you've decided, I want more because I want the taste, then eat it mindfully. Close your eyes, chew, and enjoy every freaking second of that bowl. Same with the Instagram scrolling, right? If you're like, I just want to scroll. Like, I want to be on Instagram. Then be present, read the captions, look at the pictures, and you'll be satisfied. If you ask yourself why, and it's because you are still hungry, this is absolutely fair and justified, especially if you haven't been eating balanced throughout the day, if you haven't gotten enough protein throughout the day. Maybe you generally are hungry. So I want you to eat something protein rich instead to satisfy your needs, and I'm not talking about peanut butter. Something with protein and something with fiber. And if you want to focus on targeting your balanced meals throughout the day and having a combination of foods that are going to keep you full and satiated, then that's something we can totally discuss over on Boxer. The combination that's going to turn off hunger hormones for you are protein, fat, fiber, and complex carbs. Feel free to take a screenshot for this. This will be in here forever for you, but I want you to start to learn how to become aware and get ahead of yourself. So that's some skill acquisition, right? And now integration. So now you have to actually do it. I love to talk about consuming mindfully, and I talk about this more later on, this exact process, because it makes a huge difference. It creates space in your day, creates awareness, forces you to stay present, and it's pairing a new habit with a pre-existing habit, which makes the new habit a lot easier to integrate. So start with one meal. It could be breakfast, lunch, dinner. And eliminate distractions. That means you're not answering emails, you're not watching TV. And stay present. You can do so by breathing, taking a breath, expressing gratitude, and chewing your food. We'll do a deeper dive on this later. But remember, you can't get enough of what you don't need. So we have to identify what we actually need. Sustainability. If you go into this course, you're creating goals, and you come back the next week and you feel like no progress has been made, that's valuable. And I want you to remember that. We have to be kind to ourselves through this process. This is something new. So remember, we're going to find balance. We're going to find flexibility. We want to find joy, and we want to set our environment up for success. This is the key formula in making sure that our habits are sustained. They're balanced, they're flexible, they spark joy, and our environment sets us up for success. So then if something's not working, why? Told you why is important. Ask yourself why. Am I staying flexible? Or is my goal already setting me up for failure? Do I like what I'm doing? Do I like this new habit I'm trying to implement, or do I hate it? If you're trying to run a 5K, but you hate running, come on. And we'll talk more later on your environment specifically. Lastly, ongoing support. So throughout this entire course, you have one-on-one support from me. You have accountability from your peers in the Facebook group. But know that after this ends, life is going to happen. This course is only 5 weeks long. There will always be habit disruptors. You might move. You might break up. You might have a new relationship. You might have a new career. You might get fired. You might get sick. Someone else might get sick. There might be some crazy realization you have in your life and amazing growth that comes from this course. Life is crazy. Who knows where it's going to take us? Things will happen that disrupt our habits, even if it's just going on vacation. So know that I am here to support you and make sure that your habits are generalized, but this course goes so beyond 5 weeks. So know that when it ends, you will have the option for more support one-on-one with me at a discounted rate for going through this. But I want you to focus on the next 5 weeks. Focus on staying balanced, staying flexible, being kind to yourself, letting resistance go. And you'll have sustained success. So that's the scoop on combining behavior change, behavior analysis, and integrative health. Get excited.